And we are back again. Milbury mode currently not in effect, but still, of course, the name of this series is, of course, we have been alternating control of this team between myself and the AI GM, who, again, we affectionately call Mike Milbury because decision-making is often not spectacular, as you have witnessed so far in this series. Today, we take over. We get an off-season to try and put this team into whatever spot we feel is best, whether or not that is as a bit more of a contender, or if we look to ultimately take a step back. Now, as always, I wanted to hear from you guys in the comments of the last video as far as your opinion on a couple of things. And after putting some thought into it, reading through the comments and looking through suggestions, here's what we're going to be doing. When it comes to players that were acquired during the 1-year time frame that Milbury had control, if their deal is expiring, I'm free to get rid of them. If they're like Thomas Greiss and they're still signed, I have to keep them for at least one turn. So if it's a long-term deal like, I don't know, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, I can't get rid of him right now. But the next time I have control, if he hasn't retired, I am free to try and move that contract. So Vlasic, Greiss, Borowiecki, Savard, and Hunt, I don't believe I missed anybody, are the players that I have to keep. Although whether or not deals expire like Savard and Hunt, that's, how you handle that. Ryan Pulock is a different, beast entirely because he was an RFA, but obviously that deal is technically expiring, so that's fine. Now, there was the top comment of the last episode, I might not remember to put it in the video, was basically, some people being uncertain about whether or not I should have to accept all trade, or, all trades, and again, that's just a part of the challenge. Like, I get that it's, spinning a wheel, flipping a coin to see whether or not I have to, go through with that trade. That's not a bad way to go about it, but the randomness of having to accept every trade and just this AI GM potentially just continuing to dig a deeper hole for this entire organization, that is simply just a part of the challenge. So, again, in a way to view it this way, the AI sets up its own trade block. So technically the AI is setting the stage for these exact trade offers to come through, which means in a way that, yeah, the AI is getting what they want and would theoretically accept the deal. So that's why I have it set up the way that we do, and that is going to be the way that it continues without any, wheel spins or anything like that. We're accepting all trades still. It's just a part of what this series is, ultimately. Now, the interview process, it always makes sense to go through it. I'm not going to at this point because the draft pick situation isn't exactly ideal, but we'll get into that as we get into the draft. Although, the re-sign phase, I could have taken a little bit of an advantage of that. But it's fine. Let's see, ultimately, what this team looks like and what we're dealing with. So, draft pick-wise, holy shit. Oh, my God. We only have our 6th, our 7th, and Montreal's 7th. We have 3 third-round picks next year. We are without our 2nd. So, needless to say, this draft is not shaping up to be great for us. Goaltending-wise, we really don't have much to move. Obviously, free agency would be nice if that's going to work out for us, but that's a disaster. That is a disaster. Only way to put it. Good God. Whew. Defense. Obviously, Shattenkirk was played in the AHL for all of last year. Pulock needs to be signed. Mata's here. Of course, Boqvist signed. We're stuck with Borowiecki. I need to try and trade Brent Seabrook if I can. To be honest, trading Connor Murphy might not be the worst idea either. His overall's down due to morale right now, but the only thing I can think to do here is really just try like hell to shed some cap. Let's go to the trade finder right out of the gates. I want to see if we can get anything for Shattenkirk. who, again, I don't plan on re-signing, at least not immediately. I mean, maybe in free agency that would be nice, but my main deal right now, Ryan Pulock's a good piece, or Pulock. We need to sign him, and we need to sign Kubalik. 2 main targets here. So let's see if I can get anything for Shattenkirk. We'll search an open block. 2/3 seems to be the going rate. Can we get anything better than that? The answer is no. So 90th overall this year. 82nd from Florida, but they're only offering a 4th. We want it to be 2/3 no matter what. So it is going to be that deal right there from the Coyotes. So we're going to send Kevin Shattenkirk's negotiating rights out to Arizona. Oli Mata is still on a good deal. Borowiecki we're stuck with, of course. Is there a deal out there for Brent Seabrook? No, there is not, to the surprise of nobody. But looking at this team, just trying to really figure out what this defense is going to be. I mean, that's our top 4. Seabrook is going to be there. Murphy's going to be there. Ian Mitchell's probably going to be an NHLer. So getting rid of, again, Seabrook would be great. Esterle, there's no way he's going to stay. So if I can get something for his rights, that'd be good. Now, the problem is this deal is probably going to go through. 5th and a 7th appears to be about as good of a deal as we're going to get. Let's take that deal from Toronto really quickly. And then we'll let the San Jose Sharks make the #1 overall pick. And it's going to be Aatu Ratti going out to San Jose. Back to the trade finder. Now, I'm not limited to using the trade finder, but obviously it's making some of these moves a little bit easier, all things considered. So our defense, I mean, Seabrook might even end up being a healthy scratch. God, hopefully he retires. Of course, there's Mitchell. Vlasic's there. We have to trade Murphy. We have to trade Murphy. We just don't have space. We do not have space. Because Borowiecki's going to be there. Seabrook could be a healthy scratch, but we also have to worry about Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Murphy has to go. I hate to say it, but we have to shed some cap. It's got to be Connor Murphy. I mean, we do have, first-round pick from Anaheim next year. Jack Kopak is also not a bad option. Yeah, this is the right move to make. He's a good defenseman on a good contract, but he's going to be looking for $5+ million, I'd imagine, by the time the deal is up. So this isn't the worst time. Obviously, the addition of Vlasic makes this somewhat necessary. 1st and a 4th. How much was it from Anaheim? 1st and a 4th as well. Seems to be about as good of a deal as we're going to get, which works for me. 2nd and 3rd, I'd rather have a 1st and a 4th, obviously. Max Lajoie in return. Obviously, right now, it's about just getting somebody off of the roster and bringing back what we can. So we're going to take probably that 1st and 4th from, Edmonton or Anaheim. Let's go with Anaheim. Again, actually not again, we went with Arizona last time. Connor Murphy being dealt to the Ducks for a 1st and a 4th, although I am going to double check this and see if I can add a little bit more to the deal just to make sure we're not being shortchanged, which the AI does love to do sometimes. I figured that wasn't going to go through, but we'll add a 4th and a 6th. What about now? Still no? What about just the 4th? Okay, so it's because it's a 4th this year that they won't do it. What about a 7th this year and the 4th next year? No. Okay, so yeah, they just flat out offered us the best deal. So there we go. Murphy dealt to the Anaheim Ducks as we try to rework this defense off of what Milbury's handed us. So again, it's going to be Pulock, Mata, Boqvist, Borowiecki, Seabrook, and then probably Vlasic. I don't really see what we can do about Mitchell. Seabrook or Vlasic might end up being sent down. There's a chance that Gilbert, as Brant Clark goes 2nd overall to the Tampa Bay Lightning, there's a chance that Gilbert could also be NHL caliber. Right now, the important thing is that we have about $10 million in open space. Savard's going to be dropped. That was pretty straightforward. I don't think we're going to be able to get anything for him. I was wrong. Osborne, a 6th. We know we're letting go of him. So picking up negotiating rights isn't necessarily a bad thing. There were 2 7th round picks there, huh? Alright, so let's see. Out of those 6th rounders, 180 was the best. 182. 179 from Pittsburgh is the deal. Let's send David Savard's rights out to the Penguins. We recoup a 6th round pick. Going to try to do the same thing for Brad Hunt. We're going to be able to get something for him too. 2 7ths. 196 from the Yotes. And that is looking like the best deal. So there we go. Another deal with the Coyotes. Just trying to recoup as many draft picks as we can. Can I get anything for Nick Steeler's rights? I cannot. So again, Vlasic's stuck. I want to bring back Gilbert. Mitchell's obviously going to be on roster. Pulock could be a sign and trade, potentially. I'm almost tempted to say get rid of Olimata because this team simply isn't going to be good. Can we get anything for Yanni Tulola? No, we cannot. Okay, so I think we're at the point where we're just not going to get much. Regula could still develop. Alex Vlasic, I'd kind of like to get rid of. But you know what, we might as well... well, part of me wants to say we might as well see if he can develop, but low top 4 typically isn't great this year. We could get a 2nd and a 4th, which would be pretty decent. I think that's too good to pass up. We're going to take a 2nd and a 4th from Boston in exchange for Alex Vlasic, who I just don't think is going to develop. So that's the defense cleaned up a little bit. We still are arguably going to have a bit of a defensive situation, but we'll try to make the best of it. On that right-hand side, obviously Kaner's still there, DeBrincat. Alex Nylander's going to be due for a big contract, of course. Getting rid of Shaw would be helpful, although he's honestly not on that bad of a deal. There we go, that's where I was trying to get us. Carpenter's worth keeping. Altar Bamakian, Entwistle, Nordgren. If I could get something for Johnson, I don't know if I'll be able to. Moberg as well. Just 2 guys who aren't going to make it. Niebeck's there. Francis is there. Martin Lang, unfortunately, not looking great either. Can't get anything for those guys, at least not outright. And then Francis, of course, is there. We're going to have to back out anyway, because Winnipeg's pick is going to go through. They take Beignets, or Beniers, perhaps. Let's see what we can find here on our own. What deals will potentially go through. So, Shaw, I'm not 100% sold on. Left wings. Now, I know the AI signed Saad. Yeah. I'm allowed to trade Saad, though, I think. I don't know. Now I have to decide if I want to honor that extension or not. That's a very debatable point, but yeah, that Saad extension's fucking brutal. It's the only way to put that. I gotta go over one more time. There we go. Okay, so Kubalik, obviously we have to sign. Kajula, I'm not sure. Sakura, I'm not sure. Kayumov is signed. Kampf is there. Really nobody of extreme value. If I can get something for Soderlund, his age and overall, it makes sense too. Let's see what we can get for this group of prospects. Send them out to Arizona maybe. Keep making a deal with the Coyotes and Ducks. I don't think a 2nd rounder will go through. But Anaheim with a couple of 3rds. Even just a 3rd. I didn't mean to do that. I was going to add more and I hit down one too many times. But still, we pick up a 3rd for a bunch of filler, which I'll take. And then centers. Okay, nothing too crazy there. Barrett, Kurashev, Wise. Did he re-sign Quinville? He did not. Quinville doesn't even really have that much in terms of value. He did sign Cramarosa, though. Did he sign Cramarosa, or was Cramarosa already on contract? I think he signed Cramarosa. I'm not 100% certain. I'm pretty sure he did, because I'm pretty sure Krameros is on an AHL deal to start, so he's going to be staying. That's fine. He's just AHL filler. So when we look at the forwards, right now we have, in theory, Kane, DeBrincat, Strome, Doc, Taves, Nylander, Shaw, Saad, Kubalik, Kajula, pretty much anybody else that we can use to fill out the roster is what we have. So, obvious, we could move Shaw and Saad if we have to free up space. I'm intrigued at what we could potentially get for them, as Eakin, who's a computer-generated player, goes to Montreal, 4th overall. Let's see what we're dealing with here for 2 of our vets. So just to double check, could I move these 2 in the same deal, which would free up over $10 million in space? No, I cannot. Andrew Shaw. What's the going rate for you? Okay, I don't know if I can turn that down. 2 first-round picks from Calgary. Pelletier, Wyman, I don't even know how good he is. 2 first-round picks, including the 25th overall pick. So that Dallas offer is a little bit better. The 16th overall pick this year and the 44th. Hot damn. That offer from Minnesota. The 21st this year and a first next year from Nashville. I think I like that Nashville offer. Damn. San Jose offering a ridiculous package as well. I mean, that Nashville offer. I like Andrew Shaw. He's a really good player for us on a pretty damn good contract, all things considered. But 2 first-round picks, including the 21st overall pick this year. That's a tough call. He had 60 points. He's a 50 to 60 point guy for us right now. 48 goals in the past 2 seasons. Fits in very well in the middle 6. 1 year left at 3.9. Not happy that I traded Connor Murphy. Doesn't fit in as well in the second line, but fits in tremendously well in the third line. And potentially on the power play, or on the power play, I assume, as well. So we can keep Andrew Shaw as an elite third liner and power play guy, or we can pick up 2 first-round picks, including the 21st pick from Nashville. And, I mean, again, looking at the team, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going to have players kind of looking to graduate to the NHL level this year. And that frees up a little bit more cap space for us to play with. I didn't plan on trading Andrew Shaw, but 2 first-round picks, that is too good to pass up. Had to see if that third rounder was a bit too much. I'm going to try to tack on even a 6th. Will that go through? Yes, it will. We deal Andrew Shaw to Nashville for 2 first-round picks and a 6th as well, as the Blue Jackets take Jeremy Waugh with the 5th pick of this draft. San Jose is on the clock with a pick that should have been ours. Brandon Saad, is there an offer out there for you? There is. A 2nd and a 3rd. Hunter Jones and a 3rd. Very interesting. 2nd and a 3rd again. 2nd and a 3rd. I gotta be honest, because... Ooh, Vancouver with a 1st. Let me know what you think and whether or not I should have to respect that contract extension. But Vancouver's offering a first-round pick for Saad. We have to take that. We have to. So this will be the deal that establishes whether or not I have to stay loyal or not to contract extensions. Something people have talked about before, but we didn't make a definitive decision on. But we are going to deal Brandon Saad to the Canucks. For obvious reasons. Good God. Although I might not be able to add anything more to this deal. What about a 7th as well? No? Okay, so they offered us just flat out the best value. So there we go. Saad has been dealt as well. That is pretty much all I can look to do. Again, we didn't get rid of anybody that was brought in by Milbury as Brennan Othman goes off the board. We get rid of a lot to try and rework this roster, get rid of unnecessary depth. We have $21 million in cap space. Now we have the 21st overall pick, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, a 5th, 3 sixths, and 4 7th-round picks. Not a bad little war chest to work with. In terms of trading up, the highest pick we could get is Colorado at 9. So let's move forward a little bit as New Jersey takes Dylan Genther. Detroit takes Jeremy Wilmer. So who's on the board here? And is it worth trading up? Oh yeah, it's worth trading up right now. There are 2 medium elite defensemen and Ruben Pojar and Brandon Dillon. Go figure. Yeah, Dillon's a beast. Dillon is a beast at 5'10". The smaller Brandon Dillon. Let's see. Soderstrom, we don't quite know how good he is. Lascelles is real. Luke Hughes is there. Zane McElrath at a medium 4. Tootin, there's no guarantees just how good he is. I think we have to try and trade up if we can get a deal done to try and bring in Dillon, because that'd be ridiculous. So let's talk to Colorado and see if we can use this Nashville pick to move up and get a staple defenseman, especially after we saw the departure of Duncan Keith this past season. So let's tack on some middle picks. This isn't going to be nearly enough, obviously. That's wishful thinking. We're going to have to use the thirds, but that is okay. I also need to see what we have next year as well, because we might be able to play around with that just a little bit. Okay, so we have 4 first-round picks next year, just from me wheeling and dealing a little bit. The Milbury's going to have a field day with those. There's no way we end up keeping those picks. But then again, he'd have to move them before the draft, which is highly unlikely. I simply don't see us having the value, though, to move up here. I just don't see it. So as much as I want to trade up, that 9th-round pick is just a little bit too valuable. It's a little bit too rich for our blood right now. So Colorado takes Poyar, and Lascelles off the board. What about the Bruins? Because Dillon's still on the board. And obviously the 11th is going to have a little bit less value attached to it. How close can we get here to working out a deal with the Bruins? Probably not as close as I would prefer. We have a bunch of 3rd-round picks next year, too. So a 1st and 4 3rd-rounders over the next 2 years to move up 10 spots. That is absolutely worth it. And we are going to be bringing in a top-notch defenseman with the 11th overall pick. It's going to be Brandon Dillon, the Pole who played in Latvia. 13 points, but we know the grades are on point. A Subban comparison, no doubt about it. He's the pick. 78 overall defenseman joining the group. Not too shabby. Not a bad bit of business there whatsoever. Now, obviously, that kind of hinders a little bit what we can do for the rest of this draft. We're going to have to rely on some steals because I don't... You know, I was going to say I don't plan on using these first rounders. Maybe I should have. Maybe it would have been a smarter move to go out and get Pojar, too. You know what? Now I think about it, it would have been. Because I'm not going to have those picks. I mean, one way or another, Milbury's either going to trade the picks at the draft, or he's going to make the picks and potentially screw it up. I should have used that pick. Is what it is, though. There are still players here that I could look to trade up to get, though. And there are a good amount of computer-generated players, which is who I'd prefer to target. Soderstrom, Huselius, McElrath, Tootin, Jorgen Lack, Ola Eklund, I believe, is generated, as is Marcus Christensen. And now we're getting into the real-world players. McBride, Calle Johansson. I believe Calle Hedin is generated. So we're just double-checking here what players it would be wise to go after. Jesper Wallsted's in this draft. Nicholas Butler. And then just to confirm any medium elites, just Tootin. And he's not 100% confirmed, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So I think if we can trade up again, we have to do it. We have to do it. And Huselius is up there on our scout rank. I think between... It's kind of tough. I wanted to know. So we know Huselius is going to be 2 years out. We don't know about Soderstrom. McElrath's NHL ready, but he's only a medium 4. Teuton's NHL ready. We have to get Andre Teuton, the Lithuanian. What about with Lack? We don't know. Eklund, we don't know. Christensen's 3 years out. Let's take a look here. McBride, we don't know. Johansson's 3 years out. Hedin, 4 years out. Schustrom, don't know for sure. Reese Fiddler, no information on. Eliash, we don't know for sure either. And then what about Butler? Okay, so there's only one dude for sure that I want to make sure we trade up to get, and that is the Lithuanian center in Teuton. So, hypothetically, we should be able to sim a couple of picks here and be fine. Soderstrom is off the board. Huselius is off the board. That leaves McElrath and Teuton, who are the 2 players that I'm most interested by. Hopefully, we can work this in our favor to where Detroit takes, I believe that was Middlestat. No, it was Luke Hughes that was there. So hopefully we can swing this to work out in our favor, and we can be okay. So let's go down to the first rounder next year from the Canucks. I think we're going to hold on to Anaheim's pick. And we're not overly close, but hopefully with some of these later picks, we can cover the distance. This idea still might not work out, in fairness. What about 2/4? How close are we? This is a little bit rough. Just a little bit. Quite far off. Great. Good thing is I can use some of these mid-round picks to move up. We have an extra 3rd from Columbus. I'm going to try to use that. And we're going to see if that goes through. And it doesn't. That's not great. What about a 5th and 2/6? Still quite far off. Okay, this is going to be a little bit more difficult than I was hoping, apparently. It's still worth it to get some of the picks out of Milbury's control. But I'm going to have to give up... Oh my god, the menu lag there was brutal. I'm going to have to give up a little bit more than I would prefer to get this deal done. There we go. So we pick up the 14th overall pick in this draft from Anaheim. And we're going to use that to take Andre Teuton. And then hopefully we get McElrath as well. So, I mean, this guy looks like a near guarantee. And I'll take it. I mean, a medium top 6, but he's a 76 out of the gates. Not too bad. A center with meh face-offs. But a hell of a shot for Andre Teuton. Now, will Detroit take who I want them to? Yes, they will. So, Minnesota, let's talk. Let's get this deal done as we try like hell to get this organization back on track. Now, Nashville's pick actually has a little bit more value than Anaheim's, but I would assume Nashville's going to be a better team. And that is a risk I am just going to have to take, as that might go through. It didn't. Quite far off, they say. That's not great. What about now? All right, so there we go. That was quick and easy. We get that pick as well. And we're going to be taking, I know he's only a medium 4, but Zane McElrath, good point producer. Looking good in terms of a starting overall, which is confirmed to be a 77. So a lot of wheeling and dealing. We end up with picks next year. We use those to get Teuton and McElrath in addition with Dylan. And that is not a bad little haul from this draft thus far, which of course has been very busy in terms of the trades that we have made. Again, really only getting rid of players that were already on roster to try and make them work with the layout of the team, because obviously Milbury kind of screwed us over there. So we might be relying on a lot of younger forwards, or at least inexperienced forwards. The defense is already set. I don't know if I'm going to sign Dylan to his ELC or not. I don't see how we really have space to do that unless we end up, again, signing and trading Pulock. So overall, I mean, we're pretty much good to go. I don't really have the maneuverability to try and trade up again. So we're going to sim all the way to the 6th round, see who's left, and see if we can get any steals. I will scroll back through the back half of the 1st round. And that way you guys can see how that played out. Slack was a 76 as well. Pretty damn good. And then, yeah, so the higher overalls, but potentials. Telling the story of the rest of the 1st round. The next ridiculous potential. I mean, Eliash and Fiddler were solid. Wallstead, of course, Butler. Yeah, so I think we made the right move. So is there anybody left who has the chance to be half decent that we can tell? Rick Booze, not looking all that good. Quinville. I mean, I need someone with some decent grades here. Alex Huxley. I mean, he's got something going for him, but nothing overly ridiculous. Fortunately, none of these grades are too crazy. So I think we're just going to cash out on the rest of our picks and call it a day. A very eventful draft for us. That's the only way to put it. Let's talk to say... Yeah, Anaheim's actually listed as a champion, but I don't know if I believe that. Can I get a 5th rounder from Washington next year? Beautiful. Probably could have gotten a little bit more, but there we go. So, thus concludes a very eventful day for this team. We bring in some decent prospects. We say goodbye to a lot of familiar names and faces. We still were able to acquire an extra 1st round pick for next year, which I'm a big fan of. But again, the big thing, Hunter Jones and a 3rd, acquired by St. Louis. Wow, damn, Minnesota ended up with Hunter Jones. I was like, yeah, that's right, I didn't take the Hunter Jones deal. But we end up moving up with Minnesota, moving up with Anaheim, acquiring that pick from Boston as well. There was a lot done. The Saad trade, the Shaw trade, Alex Vlasic, Brad Hunt, David Savard, Connor Murphy, Esterle, and of course Shattenkirk, who really wasn't even a part of this team. So a quick look then at the potential re-sign phase and what we're dealing with. So all expiring. Tompkins is obviously going to be dropped. Ryan Pulock, what can we do for you? I can't offer him a deal right now, obviously, because you can't re-sign him. Gilbert, though, I'm intrigued by. And, if he's willing to accept that, that's a steal and a half for us. That would be great. Nick Seeler we can drop. Yanni Tolola we can drop. On the right, Alex Nylander. Oh, boy. What are we dealing with here? 3 years and he'd still be an RFA, apparently. I don't hate that. And we could drop that down to 4,625. If that deal goes through for Nylander, that is a steal and a half. Hopefully that does go through. Dominic Kubalik, I'm not going to be able to re-sign right now. Kajula, I'm not sure if we want to keep Kajula. I mean, back-to-back 30-point seasons. For a depth bottom 6 option, let's keep Drake Kajula. Hopefully. You're not getting 3 years, though. I can tell you that much. Over $2 million for Kajula on the 3rd line. Oh, Drake, buddy, I don't know. It'd be 2,075 for Kajula for 2 years on the 3rd line. I don't know about that. Sakura's also there. Fortan gets to stay. At the very least. Look to re-sign into that. Good of a deal. Kajula, though, I'm just not sure. And then Quinville, to be honest, I'm not sure either. But again, forward-wise, you know, let's sim forward a day, see what happens with this initial bout of re-signing options. Got a lot of coaching staff to worry about. Try to set that up as best we can. So Nylander signs that steal of a deal. Fortan's back. Gilbert as well. Not bad at all. We get Alex Nylander on a tremendous contract. Just a big-time help for us. So Tompkins is obviously going to be dropped. Don't have to worry about anybody else. I mean, basically, that's our goaltending situation covered. Defensively, Ryan Pulock, what can we do? He wants big money. A 1-year deal, and he'd still technically be an RFA, huh? I don't trust Milbury, though, to be able to do anything about it. But locking up Ryan Pulock long-term isn't a bad option. I mean, 8 years brings us to at least 34, and I mean, I could drop that price down. We're talking a top 4 defenseman for the next 8 years for under 5.5. That's a steal. We're going to try it. We're going to try it, and we're also, I guess I can't qualify him first, but we'll see what happens there. Dylan, I don't know if I'm going to sign yet. We don't have to make that decision right now. Sealer's going to go. To Lola is going to go. On the right, we have nobody to worry about. On the left, Dominic Kubalik. A 2-year deal. He'd still have RFA status, and I'm in charge of the extension when that comes, unless the RFA status thing is still bugged out. If I can drop him down to 6.425, I get to handle the re-signing. That's a damn good deal for us if he accepts it. Kajula, I'm not sure. Sakura, I'm not sure. David Kampf, I'm admittedly not sure. Nor am I sure with John Quinville. Let's sim a day and see how this goes. Dominic Kubalik resigns. Ryan Pulock rejects. He doesn't want the extra 2 years, apparently. He was still looking for 6, though, which works for me. It's still a long-term deal for a, you know, slam dunk top 4 player that we're going to be able to keep for a decent amount of time. So if he's willing to accept that, we're good to go. And he wants more money. Okay. Right. So right now, just not willing to take as big of a pay cut as I would prefer. Let's go 5.25 because that's still a really good deal. And then again, other expiring contracts. Let me look at my forwards. So again, in terms of overall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with Kayumov. We probably do want to keep Kajula. It would help a lot, though, if he would sign for less than 2. How much is he looking for? He also doesn't want to re-sign. We're going to let Kajula go. He's looking for a little bit too much for my liking. Gotta be honest. So let's sim another day. Pulock still rejects. That's a problem. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and qualify him. And in terms of the money, what about 5.3, which is still a really good deal for us. And then again, forward-wise, Dylan Sakura, how much are you looking for? I mean, honestly, it would be a steal to sign Dylan Sakura to that. It really would be. Just as a really good depth option. So if he's willing to take that, I'm willing to sign him. Quinville. Ooh. I mean, as a 4th line option, potentially be 1.2 for 2 years. He'd be an RFA after. How'd he do at times? I don't think he even played on the 4th line last year, did he? He played 1 game. Played 37 for us at 14. You know, he deserves a shot. He deserves a shot. And we're going to give it to him. So if he's willing to accept that, I'm willing to have him here. And then for 1 David Kampf, kind of the same thing as Sakura. If we can just give him a little bit more, that's a decent deal. Let's move forward. Comfrey signs. Pulock rejects again. Quenneville's back. Sakura's back. So it's just, what are we going to do about Ryan Pulock? He's the only guy left that we have to worry about. Let's go 5.5, which is still a really good deal for him. Advance a day. Jesus. Pretty sure this is the last day. It's the 30th. So it's going to be, yeah. It's a good chance Ryan Pulock's going to hit the open market as an RFA, which kind of sucks. But that is what it is. 5.75. I want to save some money on this deal. So we'll see what happens. Let's advance a day. Pulock signs. Okay, so 6 years at 5.75 for a top 4 defenseman. I don't hate it. And it is also a very manageable contract to potentially deal away. You could argue like, oh, well, what would you have gotten with him being an RFA? The problem with that is that, yeah, there's no telling, you know, what Milbury would have done with those picks. So the defense is shaping up. I still don't know if we're going to be signing Dylan. And in terms of the free agent market, let's see what's out there right now. The answer is Tyson Barrie, Alex Ovechkin, and others. We have $8 million to work with. Our roster is pretty much set. I mean, if we wanted to make a play for Ovi, we could. If we wanted to make a play for Max Domi or Ryan Strome, we could. Hoffman, Hyman, Tatar, Connor Sherry. I mean, there are some options out there right now. There are some options. And then defensively, it's Barry, but he's looking for way too much. But Petrie's out there looking for a decent deal. Brody as well. But like I said, the problem with our roster is that we're pretty much set. Tuukka Rask is out there, as is Henrik Lundqvist and Corey Crawford, who we could bring back on a very cheap deal. I don't hate the idea of bringing back Corey Crawford. And Igor Shesterkin's out there as well, but no guarantees that he's going to develop. Of course, we pretty much have to keep Thomas Greiss on roster. Doesn't mean I have to use him. I could just tank him down in the AHL. So with that, I think we're going to call it an episode because that was a very eventful draft. And that sets the stage for the rest of this offseason and the beginning of the sim for next year. Now, again, in terms of what we do, I mean, our top 6 is basically already set. Probably moving Kirby Doc over to the wing next year. Probably. Maybe. I'm not sure who's going to be a center next year, but top 6 is pretty much set. We could look for some third-line help or just trust some of the youth, the likes of Barrett, Kayumov, potentially Fortin at 24 years old. Teuton, of course, could be given an opportunity. And then defensively, we are set. We have Pulock and Mata, Borowiecki, Boqvist, Seabrook, probably Mitchell, and Vlasic. I don't think I'm going to sign Dylan or McElrath. I don't think I'm going to. So really, we just have to sign some AHL-level defensemen, and we're probably going to look to bring Corey Crawford back to Chicago. So all in all, we're set up to have an interesting team this upcoming season where our high-powered offense could still lead us to success. We're set up well in terms of kind of restocking the cupboards and what this team could look like beyond this season. Where hopefully it's a good year for us because can't help but think, you know, the dominoes might come crashing down. Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, DeBrincat, Strome, they might not be safe the next time Milbury gets control of this team. So again, we will set this team up and begin the Season 3 sim in the next episode. For now, though, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, you know the deal. Support the video, support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Check out everything in the description if you have not already done so. And, of course, a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. I love you guys. I will see you all, though, next time where we get to deal with Marc-Edouard Vlasic being on this team. And Mark Borowiecki.